We're here talking Kite Man. Hell yeah.
Hell
Episodes
yeah.
1 and 2. I am Vactor. I'm here with the Shawfinator. Shaw, how you doing?
I'm doing real good, real good. Thanks for having me, Vactor.
Yeah, thank you very much for joining me. I wanted to start off asking you, how much of Harley Quinn did you watch? Total.
I'm definitely not caught up. I think I'm in the middle of season 2.
Okay. Kite Man. Well, first of all, I love Harley Quinn. It's one of my favorite shows. And when I heard that they were going to do a spin-off with Kite Man, I was like, yes. I was hell yeah. I was like that. Because he's just such a great character. And Tom King is the reason why Kite Man has a show. The reason why he's in this.
Really?
Kite Man was like one of those. Batman has a ton of joke villains like
Oh, yeah.
Condiment King. He shoots
That's
you with
the first
mustard
one I
and
thought of
ketchup.
when you were like joke villains. I'm like Condiment King.
Yeah, Clock King. There's a
Yep.
bunch of them. Kite Man, again, he's a guy and he flies in a kite, right? Like that's a perfect 50s villain Batman.
Yeah.
When Tom King took him over in his Batman run, he made him tragic. He gave him this backstory that he didn't have before. He gave him gravitas, and he also inserted the hell yeah. That's from Tom King. So if anyone's interested, definitely read the Tom King run of Batman from start to finish. I loved. It's a little controversial. Some people didn't like it, but I loved it. It gave us this version of Kite Man, and they're taking it and making it like a funnier version of that. But I'm loving that he's getting mainstream love now. Like nobody knew who
Isn't
Kite Man was before
isn't
this.
Tom King the writer for the Supergirl World of
Yes.
Woman of
Yes.
Tomorrow? Yeah.
Woman of
okay.
Tomorrow. Yep.
Yeah. And
Yeah.
he's awesome. Yeah.
Yeah,
he's,
Tom King is fantastic. I don't think I've read a Tom King book that I have not liked.
Yeah.
The Visions book that he did.
I'm
everything
really
that he
enjoying
does.
Helen of Windhorn
Yes.
too. Yeah, that's
Fantastic
really
book. All those things are fantastic. And like I said, Tom King is the reason why we have this Kite Man show. So, Shaw, I'm curious, what did you think about these first 2 episodes of Kite Man?
I loved it. It's my kind of humor.
Yeah.
I was the fact that it takes place. A lot of it takes place in a bar, right? It takes place
Yes.
at Noonan's. It to me, it had like It's Always Sunny in Philadelphia vibes.
Yes.
To me, I mean, because like the humor is dark and there's a lot of profanity and just like it's exactly my type of show. Like if I'm gonna watch something animated, because if you've been listening to our stuff and you know anything about my personal preferences, you know that me in animation, like I'm just kind of like okay with. I don't love it. I certainly don't seek it out. But Vactor always encourages me to watch various shows, and a lot of times for the podcast, I'm more encouraged to watch something so we can talk about it. But I'm glad that I'm watching this because this is my cup of tea. This is my bread and butter. This is the kind of show that I like.
Along with Harley Quinn, like this is the perfect. These things fit in perfectly, and it's a spin-off of Harley Quinn, but it's also taking place. Harley Quinn and Poison Ivy make an appearance in the first episode, so it's kind of synergy of those 2 shows together, and it feels like it's the exact same. I haven't looked it up, but the writing style, and the direction, it feels like Harley Quinn. Like it feels like it's just another episode of Harley Quinn, but Kite Man is the focus. Kite Man and Golden Glider, and you hit the nail on the head with the bar, that being their home base, and the Noonans are like the reject villains. Like these are the guys that they're not the Legion of Doom. They're not the like the mainstream guys. These are not the A team.
This would be like the bar with no name.
Yes, right. And I think you're introduced to all these characters, and you're falling in love with these lovable losers.
Yes.
That they have to come together and help Kite Man. So, man, it lived up to all of my expectations of this show. Because like I said, I'm a huge Harley Quinn fan. It's one of my favorite shows. And this just falls right in line. It just feels exactly like just another season of Harley Quinn, but you're just not focusing on Harley Quinn. It's in the same universe.
Yeah.
And I'm
I was
glad
gonna say, and
they're
I
doing
think that
this.
they do a good job of the passing of the baton. Like, it's helpful to have the Poison Ivy, Harley Quinn dynamic in that first episode, pilot. Hell yeah! But then for them to do their own thing going forward, and also for that episode to sort of indicate that we're probably not going to see much Harley Quinn and Poison Ivy the rest of the season, because they said they purchased a second home in Themyscira, so they're going to be hanging out with Wonder Woman, the Amazon, or whatever, like. So I think like that is like the show's way of saying you're not going to see these people as much, which is good, because otherwise it would just be Harley Quinn season 5, right?
Right.
So like,
right.
Which this show is supposed to lead into.
Yeah,
from what I was reading online.
And I think that might be the last season of Harley Quinn. I don't know if they're going to go beyond 5, but
I was surprised of some of the casting changes.
Yeah,
not that I wasn't like negatively like perceiving it. Like, it wasn't something that I was like, oh man, this sucks. I thought all the voice acting was still awesome, but I was surprised by switching out Giancarlo Esposito as Lex Luthor for Lance Reddick.
Which he passed
away, right?
Yeah.
But he did record all of his lines for season 1. But to me, like, that recasting, granted, obviously they couldn't have, seen the future, but to go from an actor to an actor, and now they'll probably have to go back to Giancarlo or find somebody new. It's a shame, but he does. I think he provides a great voice for Lex Luthor. Really enjoyed Lance Reddick's performance for that. I love that we get more Bane in this show, because it is so funny hearing him talk. It's like, he's hilarious. And I thank Christopher Nolan. I thank Tom Hardy for making, for bringing Bane to life on in Dark Knight Rises, so that he could be parodied and made fun of in this. Because before we had the Christopher Nolan movies, Bane was perceived a much different way. He was like a luchador, like scrawny guy that got bigger from having like the toxin. As we saw in, was that Batman and Robin, I think?
Yeah, which they removed the luchador part in Batman and Robin. I was kind of upset about that.
Yeah. So, and then in this, like, now it's sort of like appreciating the luchador aspect, but also bringing in the Tom Hardy vibes and really taking it to another level. Like, it's just hilarious.
He was always one of the best parts of Harley Quinn.
Exactly. And Clayface.
Yes,
I always loved. Yeah.
Oh, yeah. That's right.
I always loved the Clayface
Alan
part.
Tudyk.
Yep. There were some great lines in these first 2 episodes. I had to write them down, and I was going to perform them if it's okay by you.
Yeah.
So this one came from the first episode. He's talking to Golden Glider, who just walked into the bar, and they're sort of like catching up, because he had a failed bank robbery, and she was basically like killed a bunch of people on the ice for her like for this post-apocalyptic pageant thing that she was doing. But he says, "All I know is when I was a kid, I'd sit in my room and I'd dream about being a supervillain. My mom would knock on the door and say, 'Chuck, what are you doing in there?' And I'd say, 'Not masturbating.' And she'd say, 'That feels like something a masturbator would say while masturbating.' And I'd be like, 'Mom, I'll tell you when I'm masturbating.'"
Yeah, that was a great
"I will
line.
tell you when I'm masturbating." And then the Queen of Fables, decapitated head, goes, "Jesus, fuck, stop telling that nasty story."
Yeah.
I miss Wanda Sykes. I will say that. She's not providing the voice anymore for Queen of Fables, and that's the one character I'm like, oh man, that like harsh, very like cutting sound that comes from Wanda Sykes, I think would have been perfect to keep going. But whatever the reason, I don't have any real issues with who they got. She's still doing a great job, but I just prefer Wanda in the role of
Yeah. Yep. Man, that again, the casting, I think whoever the casting director is did a fantastic job, and it just feels like a great extension of Harley Quinn. I'm just going to keep saying it. It just feels like this is if you like Harley Quinn, then you're gonna like Kite Man, or vice versa. If you're watching Kite Man as the first thing, go back and watch the 4 seasons of Harley Quinn, which are also on Max. They're fantastic, and it's this type of humor,
Yeah.
which I thought was interesting. DC, when Harley Quinn, I think, was the first thing that I saw DC trying to go the hard R route. That I felt like they were trying to distinguish themselves from Marvel by
Yeah.
saying, "Hey, we're the ones that we're going to have the potty humor. We're going to have the R-rated show." And at first, it kind of threw me off with Harley Quinn because I'm so used to the Harley Quinn from either the Arkham video games or the Batman the Animated Series. And Kaylee Cuoco is not the Harley voice that I'm used to. But
Sure.
as the seasons went on, she kind of grew on me, and I like that this is like an alternate universe Harley Quinn. The Joker in this universe is completely different, also voiced by Alan Tudyk, who
Right.
did Clayface. I like these takes on them, and Kite Man is another one that is like it just feels like he fits in perfect with this universe. I'm curious, Shoff, do you the stuff that you've seen of Harley Quinn so far, do you like these versions of the characters, or do you like the more traditional versions?
I don't mind these versions at all. I think it's a lot of fun. It's DC After Dark is the way I describe it, and I'm here for it. I this is my kind of humor. I mean, and I love DC. Honestly, growing up as a kid, I was much more into DC comics than I was into Marvel. Superman was my favorite. I love the Flash. And if those characters were featured in something, I was watching that. Especially Superman the animated series, Batman the animated series. When eventually they basically combined the show. It was
Yes.
called
Mhm.
Batman Superman Adventures. And I remember like I would beeline it home from school so I could make it for that because they would have 2 episodes back to back. And I mean, I lived for that. That was like the best thing. So DC has a very special place in my heart from like a nostalgia childhood perspective. And then now, like as I'm older and my humor, I'm like into like, darker, like kind of like raunchy stuff. It takes like what I loved as a kid and it makes it adult for me now, and I can still appreciate it in like a new context. So like I think it's perfect. It's a perfect show already, and for a show to be this good with its first 2 episodes, that's a really solid start. Now granted, it's kind of he had essentially a backdoor pilot by being a character on Harley Quinn, and that's how he met Golden Glider and they became a thing. um I haven't watched that season, but I did do a little bit of research to sort of understand it, because I didn't know too much about Golden Glider. I know that like I know who she is, and I know her relationship, say, to Leonard Snart,
Mhm.
being his sister,
From the
and
CW.
yeah,
Yeah.
exactly. And so like there's that Captain Cold element, which is really cool. And but her powers are really interesting, and I think like could be difficult to portray, but I think they did an excellent job of taking a very complicated power set and making it happen, because she does astral projection, and but they also brought in the ice skating piece of things, and it just like it feels like Blades of Glory a little bit, like
Yes, yeah, yeah.
which I really love.
So, man, this
But yeah, voice acting was excellent. I wanted to make a note of Keith David as
Oh,
Darkseid.
yes, yes,
So
yes,
great. That is
yes,
such a great casting. As soon as I
yes.
heard one word come out of his mouth, I was like, Keith effing David. That voice is iconic. So I love that. And then another line. This is from the second episode. I just have to share it. This line made me laugh so hard. And part of it is because of Kite Man's delivery. Like the voice actor who is portraying him, he's like born to play Kite Man. Like his delivery, it's almost like he's not reading a script. He's just is. It's
Yeah.
like there is no script. They're just improvising it
Right.
somehow. But he says, "This reopening failure is cutting me pretty deep. Gotta accept my fate as a loser. I'm gonna go eat a tub of potato salad like a cockroach, because that's what my dad used to call me. Potato salad." I love that type of humor where it's like it totally like keeps you on your toes. You're like, it's not what you expect. it's never what you expect. The punchline is going to be. That's the kind of stuff I love and I live for. So I'm thrilled with this show, and I will absolutely be watching more of it. And honestly, I've cleared enough of my backlog of shows. I think I could probably go back and start getting caught up on Harley Quinn at the same time.
Yes. Perfect. Well, I'm happy, Shoff, and I hope that you out there in TV land are happy with Kite Man's first 2 episodes. We're going to be talking episode 3 later this week here on This Comic Cook. So leave a comment down below. What did you think about Kite Man or Harley Quinn? What do you think about these R-rated shows that DC is putting out? And do you think this is the right direction for them, pushing themselves away from Marvel, or making themselves stand out, I should say, from Marvel? I'd be curious to hear your thoughts in the comments down below. But we will be back talking more Kite Man later this week.
Hell yeah!